Welcome to the Smart Factory.
We're still based in Rotterdam, but first of all, thanks for inviting me for the webinar.
Yeah, that was a very short notice because this is a subject where I actually wanted to talk to vendors first, and then I wanted to invite printers afterwards. And apparently, this was I would say it's maybe a session that is a little difficult subject because first of all, we're going to talk about whether vendors can support the digital transformation that all companies will go through or is in the middle of. I think that for those who don't know HelloPrint is a quite amazing company. You are essentially selling print, but you are maybe more a communications and technology company. When I visited you a couple of years ago, I was astonished because you had like this kind of Google culture where people were like really in a modern workspace, and that you had like a mission that you wanted. I think that even you said to me that time you wanted to be the first online printer in Europe grossing 1 billion euros, right? Maybe it was because it's just to have achievements to reach out for. But before we talk a little bit about the vendor thing, what is HelloPrint, and in your words, what do you think is the value of working with you guys?
Well, basically, when we started in 2013, after years of experience in the printing industry, the founders basically discussed a new proposition and idea, which evolved around the platform. That basically meant is that how can we unlock the potential that's out there in the printing industry to customers who are buying print. And that's basically evolves around making it easier for the customer, and that's not only by ordering print but also by delivery, by choice, etc., which is the inventory, which we mean products. So if you unlock that potential to customers via an automated platform, that basically unlocks the potential also for our partners, our producing partners. So that was the goal when we started in 2013. And that's where we are today, and still growing towards more vendors, more partners in countries.
I can see that that's both your friend and my friend, Bernd. He is also joining the conversation right now. Welcome, Bernd.
Hi. Do you see a picture or something?
So we can see a picture. We cannot see a live picture. You need to click on the camera icon next to the microphone at the top of the screen. Then we can see your beautiful.
So that's me.
That's you.
Good morning.
That's good to see you.
I'm going to invite you, both of you, to talk about the concept of color management right now, because backlit is not good and orange color is not good. No, I'm just
Yeah.
So Bernd, you're traveling right now. Where are you physically right now?
I'm in the Gutenberg town, Mainz, actually right now. So the town where printing was invented in Europe some years ago.
And thank you very much for taking time. I know that we are on a tight schedule with both of you because you're busy people. As I just said when Rene was introducing himself and HelloPrint, basically this session is about how vendors can support, or are they able to support, the digital transformation. Bernd, you have for many years been very interested in everything that relates to online print, and also, of course, in that perspective, Industry 4.0. And the last time we met, that was at your wonderful online print symposium in Munich. That was, I think it was a week before the total lockdown of Europe, right? So yes. It's good to see that you're healthy, and I also seen that you have done this wonderful video about the print and influence of print. We can talk about that if you have a moment later. In your opinion, if you look at maybe just before we get started to the subject, maybe you should just for the audience just introduce you short. Who are you? Because I know that you are like if you talk about one shop one-stop shopping for Hello Print. You are one-stop knowledge about everything that relates to digital print, right? Or printing.
No, I'm nowadays I call myself a print influencer. That's it. Nothing more.
Because I mean, nothing more. Okay. And for those who should dig a little bit more into it, I think that you should definitely visit Bernd's web pages, and I also think that you should subscribe to some of the services. And I have actually acquired a few books from Bernd as well, and it's fantastic. So thank you very much for being alive and being around.
And
so
there's
guys,
coming up a new book in autumn. No, in spring.
Ah.
In spring.
Okay, and what is it about this time?
It's about how to survive with print.
Okay. Send a copy to me ASAP, please. Yeah,
of course.
Both of you. We are in a time where this week we have been discussing all week about Industry 4.0 or the smart factory, and it's been so many great sessions about so many different subjects, because this is of course something that will influence a lot of things. And I have referred a couple of times to a very funny cartoon strip that was on LinkedIn during the week. I think it was first I saw it was Nick from Heidelberg Garbruk, and he said that who is responsible for the digital transformation? Is it the CEO? Is it the CTO? Or is it the COVID-19? And I think it's so funny because I think that all of us have experienced a lot of challenges and things that have changed during the COVID-19. And obviously also some of the things have, I think that everybody understands that digital print and web to print and all these new technologies have really progressed during the unfortunate time. Do you think, from your perspective, let me start with you, Rene, do you think that vendors in general are ready to support both printing companies and also print agents, or what you call yourself as from your perspective? How do you think about that?
Well, I think in general, if you look at the market at this moment, you see, of course, a huge progression in digitalization, in automation. And that's, of course, for us as a company, is very interesting, because the purpose of us is to connect as quickly as we can with vendors, making their lives, of course, easier, but also our life easier. Now, what we see, if I talk in general figures, is that if we take 100% of the market, unfortunately, only 15 to 20% of the market is really automated, in that sense that we talk about APIs, full integration, mapping of products, etc. And you still see a kind of, let's say, delay in other companies adopting that situation. For example, if we want to connect partners, I think in general 7 out of the 10 partners still send us Excel lists. Right? This is the PDF. This is the Excel list with pricing. Can you please onboard those items? Which is understandable from one point of view, but it's also ridiculous. If you have a standardized setup and if you have a standardized production, you need to have a kind of automation with that. So for us as a company, it's really important that we connect to partners who are really, let's say, processed efficiently and effectively. And although we see that progression, I think we are still falling behind, but hopefully we will catch up.
Would you say that as a company, is it a showstopper for you to connect with printers if they don't have a digital mindset?
No, because what we have done is we have basically 3 setups. We have our own portal, and where partners who have a limited number of orders on a weekly basis basically log in. They will receive an email if an order is ready. They download all the specs and the PDF, etc., and are basically ready to go for production. The larger partners, so partners who have, let's say, a minimum of 50 orders on a daily basis, are fully integrated. So in general, the integration from our side is good, but everyone can connect, and we need to offer that let's say, solution to the partners, because otherwise we will not onboard those partners. So for us, it's a showstopper.
Yeah.
From our
so
side.
It depends a little bit. Yeah. So it depends a little bit on what products and the order quantities you have, whether you can automate the entire production workflow, right?
Exactly. So what we have done in the last year, we have a lot of talks and meetings with, let's say, companies who are able to generate a kind of connection with any partner, any vendor. One of them is, for example, Cloud Printer. So if people are ready to connect to those kind of software solutions, then it's a lot easier, of course, right? Because in the end, it's just sending data and PDFs. But that's one side of the automation. The other side is, of course, the internal automation, and that also has to be spot on.
Yeah. Bernd, one thing is that you write books and articles and participate in I mean, I think you are a driver of all the understanding and things like this, but you also run a consultancy company. When you visit printing companies for example, across Europe and where you have your customers, do you see that the digital transformation is something that is taking place now, or is it something that people talk about will take place?
Yeah, it's not black and white. So digital transformation, there's one big misunderstanding, I think. Let me talk about it first, please. It always starts in your head. It's not starting with machines. It's not starting with automation. It's starting in your head. And this is the biggest problem. Even if you have printers, and Rene will know that as well, even if you have printers and they are automated inside, doesn't mean that they are automated outside. Sometimes they don't see the reason why they should do, because it works with Excel lists and CSV and stuff like that. And this is bullshit. So it has to start in the brain of a decision maker, the owner. And he needs to know that for this, he needs to team up. He needs, he needs a team and not just people doing their job. He needs people that are engaged into that. People who love what they do to bring the company to the next level. And so digital transformation is starting always in the head of a decision maker. But the point is, before COVID-19, we had the problem that they said, yeah, we do it step by step by step. And we are waiting on the next machine. There's something new coming up. We do first this investment and then we go further. And now during that time, I see that a lot of companies, not all of them, but let's say 20 up to 30% in Germany, companies, they rethought about their business model. And they started over a discussion, and they started over to see that digital transformation really starts in the head, in the habit, how you deal with your team, how you work with your customers, how you give the customers the idea what you can reach together with them. And so it's not an industrial process, it's really a mental process. And during that crisis, and it's still not over, unfortunately, we saw that a lot of online printers, and Rene will also know that they had an ugly burst down of turnover. So some online printers left more than 80%, and so it was a mess. Now it's coming back step by step, and we have a Christmas and end of year phase now, and so it works a little bit better. But it was a really ugly time. 4 weeks later, the normal printers have the same situation, because the offers, they were already done before Corona and before the lockdown. And now we came back to them. And now a lot of companies see that they have to rethink the processes. And also a lot of vendors looked into that. And also a lot of vendors woke up, because they saw that it's not only the machine, it's the process, and it's the relationship, the personal relationship. The reason, for example, Rene is going to partners and talking to them is you need a personal relationship to have a foundation for digital relationship. And that's very important. So not everything can be done via internet. Sometimes you really need a relationship and people working with you on that.
Yesterday, or was it the day before? Time flows by here. We had no, that was yesterday. That was Diego Diaz, who used to be the responsible for workflow with the Bernd group in Chanhassen. He was giving a presentation, and he said that one of the things that is really key to everything that we talk about, in also the relationship you talk about here, is that you have the business idea needs, of course, to be driven. You have to have the processes in place. And he said also that the every vendor, of course, will have solutions that can support this kind of thing. But as you say, this is as much or maybe even more a mental journey. And that is why I'm a little bit interested, because let's say that you are a printing company and you really want to understand this and go into this direction to make your business more profitable and better and more efficient and smart and like that. But where do you get your inspiration from? And one thing is that, of course, we do webinars like this, and I know that you've got a lot of really good people on board, including yourself, of course. But how do printers get into the mindset of this? Because if everything starts in your head, you need to poke it at some point, right?
Yeah, that's not so easy, because sometimes, I don't know the English word, but sometimes you go like this through the world because you're focused on your business. And focusing on your business, that's not a bad way. But sometimes you're so orientated just in automation and how I can feed the machine and whatever. So there's really a problem to be inspired to get the idea how to develop a little bit in this direction. But the key is also the same key I have in my company. So I'm an old guy. So the point is I need my team.
We're same age, so don't get on that one.
So you're old too. No, but you know, the young people in my team, they give me ideas and they challenge me, and I let them challenge them. I encourage them to ask everything. They're allowed to do everything. They're allowed to also discuss things I'm bringing into the world. I'm writing down, and we have a very cool culture on that. And so young people are the key for that. My daughter is the key for that, because she's always asking, why you do it like this or this. And sometimes it's also a key to have, to attend webinars or doing a workshop or just going out. But sometimes it's really a question of a mindset. And sometimes the decision maker has to see that maybe he's not able to that. And if he's not able to that, if he don't have the understanding of what he can change, why he should change something dramatically, and why a business model from 1950 is not working anymore. There is no customer desk and the customer is not waiting. Yeah? So he has to rethink everything. And if he's not able to that, he needs a younger CEO and he has to step back. So, and sometimes if I see that there are some companies, they have problems because the children don't want to take over the business and so on, and they just hire a younger guy for the management and let him grow into the company. And I see that can be a recipe, because this young guy or young lady will always ask the why. Why are we doing that? And this is the key, to find young people to get inspired. That's the point.
Yeah. Rene, I met you actually many years before you started with HelloPrint, because you have been, as far as I know, you have been one of the early adopters of understanding the online printing culture, and you started in the Netherlands with I think quite successful companies as well. That you can of course answer, but I was just wondering, because extending to what Bernd is talking about right now, you introduced HelloPrint. You also set the age of your company, or when you initiated. Because all business is not static, and maybe the business idea of becoming this huge online printing company as you have become, maybe the lead in the market, and maybe the cultures are changing while you are in progress. So what challenges does that give you as part of the management of a company?
Well, to go back with the remark of Bernd, I'm also one of the older guys. So in that sense,
Are you also 52?
Well, I'm 53, but leave that aside.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm 52. So I'm the young one here.
Yeah. So basically, very briefly, my father was a print broker and had a very successful company. Now, eventually, my brother took over the company and continued the roadmap of being a print broker. Now, that was basically in, let's say, in the 90s. Eventually, I always said I don't want to go into print. I don't like it. It's too hectic. Now here I am. So never say never. However,
welcome.
Yeah, exactly. So when I took over the company in 2002, what you saw is that the gross margin of the company basically was cut in half. So we started at 30% and we ended up with 15%. Now, the reason for that was basically that the added value of, let's say, print management, you're helping your customers with big sized orders and projects, was still there, but the market became transparent. Now, if you look at the moment today, you see that, for example, 20 years ago, if someone would said, what's the price of a business card, you could basically name every price. It could be 300 euros, 180, whatever. And everybody had huge discussions about match prints, about the difficult stuff. And here we are today, where you just send the PDF, you upload it, and you get a price of $12.99 for the same business card. The only reason for that is that the process is automated and it's become transparent. Now, to me, the ones who are what the survivors are either the niche companies who are really automated in that sense. We have something unique. We add value to the printed product. It could be the process, it could be distribution, it could be anything. Or you have the big players who basically have a big portion of their turnover being commoditized. They need to be lean and mean, they need to be automated. Now, the challenge we face is that if everybody is offering the same business card and the same flyer, there's no added value. There is no added value in the product. It's the same product printed by everyone in almost the same way. The added value comes from either the system, so in our case, attracting partners to that system, let the partners sell what they want to sell with the prices they think they could be successful with.
Like an Amazon platform kind of thing, Amazon kind of approach.
Yeah, but the only thing we don't do in that difference is if a product becomes successful, for example, a flyer, why should we start a production facility? Now, buying a machine is easy, as everybody knows, but having a lean and mean print facility is totally different. That's not our DNA. So our DNA will never be a production focus. So that's why we want to work with people who are automated and who have that focus. And I totally agree with Bernd, is that he said it starts with the mental mindset. For me, it starts also with the strategy and the intrinsic motivation of the people who are responsible for that company. Because I speak to people who say the strategy is we are a big promo company, we sell gifts. Why should we change that? We still sell gifts, right? It goes rather well. We still are growing. But if I send them our PDF according to their template, it still takes them 24 hours to assess the standard template of a pen, which is ridiculous. So I explain them what the alternatives are, and what I find is really successful is that the companies who are not automated, basically, we are opening their eyes with our partner platform, so they get used to, hey, this is easy. I just click on the PDF and I can start production. So the people who are, let's say, hesitant to join, this is, I think, one of the motivators. But the biggest motivators that we have done in the recent, let's say, 1.5 years, we have road trips. So what we do is we invite new partners together with existing partners to facilities where we think, look, this is amazing. Look at the process. Look at how they produce. Look at how the intake of orders is basically processed. And then you get a lot of questions, and these partners talk to each other. And it becomes a kind of network where they share ideas and information. And I think that's also our job, to help them grow in that sense.
Bernd, I think that the first time I met you, that's also way before INKISH. And I think that what I have always appreciated about knowing you is also that you have, one thing is that you have the independent role as an opinion maker, which is great. And then you also have the consultancy because you have a high level of knowledge. But I think you have also been very good because you are one of the few people that I know of that really have been able to bridge both the vendor side and the buyer side, right? So when Rene is talking about the things that we just spoke about, and when you listen and talk to the both the vendor side and the PSP side, then returning to my headline of today, do you think that vendors are able to help printers get to the next step? Because as you said, if it's not about the equipment first, because I think that during this week we have established that the equipment is getting IoT, getting enabled for Industry 4.0 and things like that. But if if we're not ending up in the same situation where JDF was introduced and it takes like for ages not to be implemented fully, if we end up with that Industry 4.0, we'll end in the same situation. We have to think that, okay, this is maybe not because of the technology's ability to deliver, but maybe more the industry's own ability to change.
You know, the point is the best machine doesn't mean that you get automatically orders. The best workflow doesn't mean that you have automatically more profit. The best vendor you have, like HP, Heidelberg, Koenig & Bauer, or whatever, doesn't mean that you automatically have a situation that you can really rock your business or bring that in a new dimension. Look at Uli Schätzl. You had an interview with him. And Uli is always embraced by HP and other companies because they know he's open-minded and so on. And they know they want to sell something to him because he's very prominent, has a clever idea. And Uli and I, we know each other since, I think now 15, 18 years, 16 years. And in the beginning, he was a normal printer. And it starts to him to rethink and to overthink everything. And we worked a little bit together, and we stopped to work together. He had his own direction. When we discussed a little bit more. And nowadays, he's one of the cleverest guy in Germany because he really understood it's not about the machine, it's about the product. And so if you ask me, can a vendor help? No. If you ask me, can a vendor help if you have a long-term relationship? Yes. Because if there's a clever sales guy and he doesn't have a sales pitch for a machine and runs away after that, if there's a clever sales guy, he even takes care about you if you don't buy a machine, because he knows it's an investment business and it takes years before we have a decision for a machine. And with that, sales guy can also become some kind of friend, some kind of consultant. Of course, it's always about selling machines, no question about that. We all have to do our business. But on the other hand, it's also a relationship, and the sales guy knows the company and he knows the developments and he knows where he can help with machines and also where he cannot help. And if you have a sales guy who doesn't lie to you, keep him warm, give him a hug, and make sure that you have a long-term relationship. If you have a sales guy who just wants to make a short sales pitch and after that he doesn't talk about that anymore, give him a kick. So it's very important. It's all about relationships. Yeah, you know, Rene, we know each other now 6-7 years or something like that. Yeah. And Morten, we know us much longer. And so it's about relationship. And from time to time, you have the trust to talk about something, and then you can exchange ideas. But by the normal system, you know, all the programs the big vendors are doing, yes, they can give some inspiration, but they can't help with a transformation in the head. This is a process. This can be just done by yourself.
I know.
I really need to leave. That's my biggest problem. So I would like to discuss it a little bit longer.
Yeah, but
for today, I have to leave. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I was just about to say that I asked you for a short visit, so I appreciate your time, Bernd. Rene, do you have a few moments more?
Yes.
Okay, Bernd, you just closed the browser. Thank you very much for your participation, and I will talk to you soon.
Bye, Bernd.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, Rene.
Bye.
Bye. So, relationships. One of the things that Bernd just mentioned was that because of the salesperson's knowledge and relationship, because he eventually come into a buying relationship. As you are not a production company, do you also have opportunities to build relationship with vendors? Because I mean, you're not a buyer, but you might be an influencer in that process. Or how do you get your knowledge about what's going on in the industry in order to get the technology side into your platforms?
Well, besides visiting, of course, all the relevant events and talking to a lot of people and making trips to companies who supply the printing industry with all kind of solutions. For me, the best research is our partners, our partner network. So talking to everyone out there gives you a very good idea. Now, 2 years ago, for example, we embraced a kind of solution where we thought, okay, this might be the trick for getting people onboarded, and that was a really good system. However, that system was very expensive for a lot of companies. So in the end, nobody basically onboarded, which was a pity. Now that company changed their model and basically has introduced a kind of easy light solution. And we embrace that. So we are talking to them now again. And if we are able to give that to all of our partners, and I would like to do that free of charge. And of course, there's nothing as free in the world except the sun and the air we breathe. But if that would be a solution, we would certainly do that. Because in the end, our goal is basically to help our partners again with everything we can. And it's only about partnerships.
Yeah. When I looked at your website a couple of days ago, I couldn't help think about, I also gave an example actually where I put your site next to Saxo Print because I thought it was so fun. I have a bad humor. So I said, Saxo Print, hello, don't print. Because I was thinking that is, because from the end user's perspective, you might look similar, not maybe to Saxo Print, but to somebody else, right? And I was just wondering if you look at that. One of the things, both of us participated at the online print symposium in Munich by Bernd and his team. And I did some interviews, for example, with my postcard and spoke also to some online printers participating. But one thing that I can't help think about is that your website is, and correct me if I totally missed it, but it seems that you have a website that is where your product offerings is based maybe a little bit on lower volumes, kind of personalized kind of approach to people. But in that perspective, similar to what you would see from some of your, let's say, online printers, since you're in family with them, so just be friendly. So where do you differentiate from an end user perspective?
From an end user perspective, is what we try to achieve is we don't have a production focus. We have a product focus. So to give an example, which I discussed yesterday at length, textile. So if you look at textile products where normally everybody is offering t-shirts, let's say screen printed, from 100 onwards, like 100 and 100 black and 100 whites or whatever. My urge and my goal is always, why is that 100? Why can that be 25, for example? Why can it be 10? So now we are screen printing products in 10 pieces. It's just a matter of giving the customer that choice. So if the customer would like to have one t-shirt screen printed, he can. Of course it is expensive, but he can. What you see online is that everybody is pushing DTG as the single order, one copy, which is fine, and it serves a purpose for the consumer, so B2C. But for B2B, I think we're in the business of basically spreading the choice to customers. So from 1 to 100,000, you can have it same day, next day, 3 days, 5 days. That's our goal.
The reason I'm asking is because also part of the Industry 4.0 is how you present yourself to the audience. And for example, when I spoke to can't remember his name, but from my postcard when we met him at Bernd's event. It's an extreme silo, right? We do postcards one-on-one, and that's it, right? And if you look at Move, mainly business cards, they are doing it. So you have printing companies or online service providers that basically have silos, and then you have like the broader ones. And what kind of considerations do you have? Because as you are not a production company, you could basically serve whatever the market needs, right?
Exactly, and that's the point. So becoming a platform basically means that your inventory, so the number of products you sell, will explode. So of course we are still big in the commercial print area, but what we see now is that, for example, textile, because we have more focus on that, is doubling every year. Promo and gifts will double. Labels and packaging is just started. I think that will also be for us a category of at least 10 to 15 million euros. So. In that sense, I think if you are buying the customer already, which we have done online, and you know that there is a certain conversion of the customer, it would be a waste not to offer the customer more choices, more products, etc., and basically build your brand as the single point to buy your product. So yes, we will expand that.
Okay, perfect. I really appreciate your time here, Rene. I know I asked for 15 minutes and I got almost 45, so that's double jeopardy for me, right?
Exactly.